Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Another Dooley Noted Podcast, of course, presented by the great folks at Titan MRI. And we are coming to you live from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We did a couple of radio shows here last week and probably may do another one next week. We like doing them out here. It's a lot of fun, especially on doing the radio because you see all these people come in about to have a great time here at Spurrier's. We got a lot to talk about, obviously, but I'm going to start with the Masters, even though many of you are getting ready to watch the Masters and you're getting ready to watch Tiger Woods round. I think he might have just teed off. So we're not going to be able to give you any kind of updates on that. But what a day it was yesterday to watch it. Robbie and I actually went to an establishment and watched about 2 hours of it and talked about a lot of things. But we definitely enjoyed the golf, and it was great. And to see Tiger do what he did, shooting that one under round, pretty amazing. And here's the thing, and we're going to get to this later on our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. It's going to be Masters related, and I've had to change where I was on that because it will be the over-under for the winning score, and I brought it way down because it is blowing. Now, it's blowing here in Gainesville, Florida, let alone in Augusta, Georgia. Wind's blowing really hard here, and it's blowing hard up there, and it's probably going to get worse, and that's going to get cold. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, but it was just I will say this. There got to be a point last night where I went, okay, there's other guys in the tournament. Look, I'm with you. The only story here, as we speak right now, is Tiger Woods. That is the only story. The other stories are superficial. On Sunday, if Tiger misses a cut or if Tiger is not in contention, he won't be the story. They'll still show every shot he hits. Tiger for par to stay at 7 over. That it'll be that. But Sunday's when look, the tournament starts in the back nine and all that stuff. But it was great to watch. It's always great to watch tournament at that course. I love that course to death. You know that as well. It is kind of interesting. There was also a really cool story, and I've seen these stories happen before. In fact, I think I remember somebody writing this story maybe many years ago, but about this family, Herman and Elizabeth Thacker. They live in the northwest corner of the property. Well, not their property because they have a nice little house. And it is, I will say this, Augusta is a weird town. It's a place you don't want to live, except for there are some really cool and not expensive, not ridiculously, because, I mean, look, you're only there for 1 week a year. The rest of the time, nobody cares. In fact, I remember there was okay, got the mic right? Okay. There was a player, I can't remember who it was, who was on the tour, and he was from Sweden, I think, or somewhere. And when he signed with Augusta State. We're gonna play in Augusta, Georgia. He's like, man, when I get there, it's gonna be unbelievable. It's gonna be green everywhere and rolling hills, everything. Then he got there and he realized, yeah, in one place, it's unbelievable, and that would be Augusta National Golf Course. Most of the rest of it isn't much. It's mostly that is really Chainsville, and a bunch of and concrete and roads, and but there is one kind of really nice neighborhood. I'm sure there's some other nice neighborhoods, but when I used to go there, that we would see, and these people lived in the neighborhood, and they won't sell. Augusta wants to buy it. They're trying to buy up all the property around there for parking lots and maybe for the extension of the 13th hole, but they won't sell, and they've been offered millions of dollars. And it's kind of an interesting dynamic because this couple says, hey, look, we like where we live. We like it when there are a lot of people in town for that 1 week, and the rest of the other 51 weeks, nobody's here. So we like where we live. Money's only, worth so much. In fact, this guy, Herman Thacker's brother, sold some property he had, including 2 houses, for like $3.6 million. I mean, Augusta's got nothing but money. Well, they got a lot of things besides money. They got, first of all, they have a great tournament chairman, and Fred Ridley, who I got to know a little bit last year. But what a great job he does. And so anyway, that's where we are with the Masters. Billy Horschel, our local hero, struggled a little bit yesterday. Started out birdie, and then didn't play well the rest of the way. Kind of guided it around today. Really got off to a bad start in the front nine. He was at 6 over. He's now at 5. He needs to probably make a couple birdies coming in. I know he hit the green on 13 with a chance to make a birdie. But we're not going to sit here and give you updates on a tournament that if you're listening to this show on Saturday, you already know what's happened. All right, so we're not going to do that. But it'll be a great Sunday. I have no doubt about that. I'm looking forward to Sunday. Meanwhile, we're closing in on the spring game. Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention who our guest is today, did I? Laura Rutledge will be joining us in a little bit. And, of course, Coach Spurrier on Monday. And I'm working on a guest Friday that will be a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I'm going to get a yay on that. And if I don't, we'll get somebody good. And you guys know that we have great guests. And, of course, when you're handed Steve Spurrier, I don't want to say handed, but when you get Steve Spurrier once a week, you've won the battle already. And we'll talk a little bit about golf. I know we'll have a lot to say about it, but we'll talk about the spring game as well. Spring game is closing in. Keep getting good reports from everything out there in terms of attitude, in terms of these guys buying in. The interesting thing to me, now look, I'm looking forward to the spring game. I really am. I wasn't before, but I am now. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But I'm looking forward to it. I just want to see what he puts out there, more than anything. And there's going to be a lot of observations. And I'm going to write this thing next week, 5 things that don't matter about the spring game, 5 things that do. And for Gators Wire, love the people at Gators Wire, treat me really well over there, and I really like them. And Adam Dubbin does an amazing job as an editor as well. Those people are really, really treat me the right way. But anyway, so we're getting close to the spring game. I'm trying to now I can't read my writing here. I know what it was. So I did something for Gators Wire this week, and if you go back and read it, I think it's a really good story. I may be wrong. I've been wrong before about stories of mine. But Alex Brown talking about Brenton Cox saying, I'm going after the record, and Alex Brown saying, hey, I want you to get it because that means Florida's doing something right. They're doing well. And he knows the overall record is the one I think he cherish. I was going to say cherish and treasure at the same time. So I was going to say treasures. But no, that's the one, the 33, because he knows that'll be the hard one to break. However, I will say this, 1999 is when he broke that record, and it was Huey Richardson's record, not Huey Lewis, but Huey Richardson, and he got the 13 sacks, got the last one against FSU, of course, the big 5-sack game against Tennessee, unbelievable effort there. But he knows that 33 will be hard because, as he pointed out, if you get 10, you may go pro that year. And if you don't and you get 10 the next year, you're definitely going pro. You get 20 sacks in a 2-year run, you're out. You're not sticking around. That's not the way it works here anymore. But when I wrote that story, I was also talking about – I also did something for WRUF.com. I know I got a lot of irons in the fire, and I like doing it. I like writing for most people. But I did something on some other things. And one thing I was curious about, and I went back and looked it up, Florida had 4 100-yard games last year rushing by a player. 3 of them were by quarterbacks. 3 of them also happened in the first 2 games. So after FAU and USF, they had 1. And I know they like to rest the backs and make them fresh. Well, it didn't work, okay? So maybe that's what we'd like to see. And then we'll see what happens in the spring. We'll have a lot to talk more about that on Monday with Coach Spurrier and what we see. I keep hearing optimistic things coming out, but as I've said a million times, and I will say a million more, the only thing the news that can come out of a spring football camp is bad news, and that's injuries, guys leaving, whatever. you never know for sure what you got done. You kind of listen to what the coaches say. If they say, "Man, we had an unbelievable camp," you hope that they're telling the truth. And maybe it's not even so much that you're hoping they are seeing the right things, but you don't know. I mean these guys, the guys who've been going out to camp, the media boys have gotten to see a lot more than normal. So I give Billy credit for that, and we'll see what happens there. I think I'm introducing him Tuesday at the Gainesville Quarterback Club, where he'll be meeting. And I don't know no, I shouldn't say anything. I don't know if there are tickets available where you can, if you're not a member. So just call the Gainesville Quarterback Club or go on the website and find out if you want to go hear Coach Napier speak. But I think I'm introducing him. I got 2 really good jokes, so we'll see how those go. All right, so and by the way, after we get through this spring game and most of the spring games that are going on, which will all be pretty much, for the most part, wrapped up in a couple of weeks, we'll start doing some breakdowns and get people on like Heather Dinich and Dennis Dodd and people like that to talk about what they think about next year. I've seen different versions of way too early top 25s, and they all have different things. Now, let's talk a little bit about Gator baseball, which, of course, lost Thursday night's game, got 3 hits. Arkansas is a really good team, and they do things the right way, and they don't make errors, and they pitch it really well, and they're disciplined at the plate, and they eventually will get enough runs to win. That's why they're number 2 in the country. Florida, on the other hand, does none of these things. Hunter Barco's really good. That's it. That's pretty much what they've got. And now they're 3-7 in the league, and there is no reason for me to think, and I'm going to the game tonight, and I'm going to the game Saturday, but there's no reason to really think they're going to win one of these games. Something has got to happen, and I don't know. I've said this before. I don't know that there's answers on this team. I thought maybe they were going to be better than they are, but they're not very good. That's all there is to it. It's really weird how the main 3 sports, Florida has been so frustrating to watch. And when I say that, I'm not, like a lot of you would tell me that gymnastics is one of the 3 main sports. Well, to me it is, but not to a lot of people. A lot of people care. Now, baseball will never get a crowd probably as big as the biggest gymnastics crowd, but I think those people are kind of centered into that gymnastics philosophy, being fired up about that. So I don't know. I mean, I keep looking for a bright spot, and I never see it. Maybe something will happen this weekend because it's only going to get worse. When you got to go to Vanderbilt, then you got to go to you got to play Tennessee, which is number 1 in the country. So it's hard to even put my finger on it. Softball, big series starts Saturday against Alabama. Obviously, I was at the game on Wednesday when they lost to Florida State. That was a tough loss. There's no question about that. Kind of quiet over there with basketball. It's interesting. I was kind of expecting a lot more transfer portal, but you got to be patient with this stuff. I know Toon Gaktek did go to the transfer portal. I don't think that was any big loss. But again, I don't know how many players they're going to have. It is kind of quiet over there. And, of course, there have been Gator fans that have been complaining about Napier's only got 1 commitment so far. Yeah, signing day is not until December, okay? Just calm down. And, by the way, the news just came out as I was looking at my phone right before we went on the air. LeBron James out for the rest of the year with that ankle injury. So I don't know what Stephen A. Smith and the guys are going to talk about. They can't talk about the Lakers. All right, we got to take our break. We'll do that. We'll come back with Laura Rutledge, and we'll talk to her, of course, from not only SEC Network, but mostly from ESPN, NFL Live, everything she does. Can't wait to talk to her, and we will do a yes, no way, or maybe with her as well. Right now, though, we do have to take a break, and we got all of our great stuff that we always do later in the show. We'll be back with more on Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI and brought to you by Titan MRI, but brought to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, welcome in to Another Duly Noted Podcast. We'll get Laura on here in just a second. I know she just said she's going to be texting, clicking on in just a minute. We got a lot of other things to get to. I was trying to, when I was talking about Todd Golden and how there really hadn't been a lot of news over there, but I mean, I'm not expecting a lot, but the transfer portal's stocked full of players, and you've got to still go through it and find out what you want, what guys are going. And that's the biggest thing with the transfer portal. Everybody, look, you have to deal with it. You have to accept it. It is what it is. And I saw where Mac Brown had a quote today where he said, these coaches whining about the transfer portal, you just need to deal with it. You totally just need to deal with it. All of us can sit here and go, this transfer portal, in my day, we just stayed where we were. We never left. We never went anywhere. We liked it. We were backups. We liked it. We didn't go somewhere so we could play. But that's kind of the way coaches kind of look at it. Some coaches. Now, a lot of them are aggressive. And I talked about that, I think it was Monday, about how you can be mad at the transfer portal and not like it. And you can be mad at NILs. But, look, this is part of what we're dealing with. And if you don't accept it, you're going to have problems. All right. We are going to go to the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line. Got to get my thing straightened out here. And talk to the legend, who is Laura Rutledge. And she is a legend. Laura, how are you?
I'm not sure if I'm a legend. That would actually be you, but I'm great. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, how are things going? I mean, you're kind of you're in the middle of draft central now, I guess.
Yeah, it's really busy. Actually, it's funny because when we scheduled this, I thought I would be at work. We ended up our show ended up getting canceled today and yesterday because of the Masters, but otherwise we are full on with all of our draft coverage, and really the month of April is when we dial in a little bit more to do it every day. Prior to that, we had a crazy march of free agency news and all these trades, and there's been a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of big contracts too. So yeah, it's definitely a busy time.
Well, that's the thing. You've not had any shortage of things to talk about in the NFL on NFL Live. I mean, it has been. It's like I told somebody, you're going to have a scorecard to figure out who's on what team. I literally don't know where teams are, who's playing for who. Yeah, I'm just waiting for it to all hash out.
I know, it's funny. I've done most of the breaking news, and I've been there every day, and I feel that way too. I'm like, wait a second, let me make sure that I remember that Carson Wentz now plays for the Commanders, and oh, by the way, that Washington team is named the Commanders now. You know, I mean, it's like one thing after another that adds up, and it really does get interesting. I think the NFL is going to look totally different next year, even when you think about all the new head coaches and changes that have happened there too. So it's a really interesting time to be covering the league.
Yeah, I think I've gotten to where Commanders kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit now. But yet last night I'm watching the Braves game, which did not end well. But as I'm watching, they're flashing scores, and I go, who the hell are the Guardians? What team is that? I thought, are these USFL scores? And then I went, oh, did Cleveland change their name? So it does take some getting used to.
It's totally different. I mean, listen, I get it. I get why it happened, but still, for those of us who have been lifelong sports fans, it is a change that takes some getting used to.
It definitely does. Well, obviously you wear many hats with ESPN and with the SEC network, and all the great work you're doing. But now I saw you on a magazine cover. And when I saw that, I go, let me Google that and see. And like all these magazines covers start popping up with you on them. I mean, you're like a supermodel now.
Oh God, yeah. The magazine cover was funny because the one that's coming out is Orlando Family Magazine. So yeah, a real supermodel over here. But when that came out, they're like, oh yeah, we could shoot on this day and this day. And I'm like, well, ESPN's not going to let me take off of my job to go shoot a cover. So we're going to have to use a stock photo that we already have, which fine by me. So, it really is funny, like how all that stuff happens. I'm shocked by it. I'm thankful for it. I'm sure there will come a time very soon when I'm like begging to get on anybody's show, and I hope you remember me then, Pat.
I will.
Because I'll remember you. But no, I'm enjoying the ride while I can.
Now, do you live in Bristol?
We live in West Hartford, Connecticut, which is slightly better than Bristol, but not too far off. But you know what? New England's been kind to us, being a couple people from the South, and our daughter Reese, because she's only 2, she's really only ever known living up north. We lived in New York and then here in Connecticut, so she really doesn't know anything else. But for us Southerners, my husband and I, we're eventually we would love to get back to the South, but we have enjoyed being in New England.
Yeah, I'm expecting a baby Reese appearance at some point here. Well, she just bursts through the door and starts yelling at you.
She smacked me in the chin with her head last night to the point that I am just now getting to where I can sort of talk, but it may appear that I have lockjaw because of what happened to me thanks to her. There's nothing harder than a toddler head, I've decided. So she really may come in here because she probably hears me, and you never know what's going to come if that happens. But we just tell her, Gators, that's all that matters.
Absolutely. Well, hey, look, I know that you have you're doing such great stuff, and I'm just wondering if because obviously we're seeing this more and more where we have play-by-play people that are women, And it's great. I love it. I think it's great. Again, I like to do my old man voice. There are people go, in my day, we just looked at the radio and men were talking and the girls were cheering and it was great. We liked it. But I don't know if that's an ambition of yours or not. I've never asked you about that, whether you want to do play-by-play.
Yeah, I'm interested in it. I will say, for me, it's one of those things where I hear a lot of that criticism already, and it's not that I'm afraid of it, but part of me is like, man, I already get enough of that. Why would I take any more on? And then I guess I say that and say, all right, I have a daughter, and I guess there are other women who, look up to what we're doing as women already in the business, and why not try to blaze a little bit more of a trail for them? I would point out someone like Courtney Lyle, who's really young in the business. She's probably maybe 3 years younger than me, and she's doing play-by-play. And I admire that so much, because it's not a path that everybody takes, but I believe that we should have a lot more of it. So to answer your question, definitely interested. There have been a few events that ESPN has actually tried to make that happen, and then there were some other things that got in the way, but we'll see. At some point I gotta try a new challenge. You know me, Pat, I sort of get bored and start thinking, all right, what can I do that's going to challenge me next? And I do think that play-by-play would be that.
Yeah. So do you call Mick Hubert for tips then, if you ever
Oh,
get to do that? Hello again, everybody.
I'd probably call everybody I know, and Mick would take my call. I would be honored. But listen, it is true. Everyone has their own style with play-by-play, and I think that's really important. You want to sort of tune in. You know what you're going to get from Mick, and I think it sort of becomes synonymous with Florida football for a lot of people and Florida sports in general. So, yeah, I would definitely call Mick. He'd probably be like, "Who's this?" I'm not taking her call.
No, he would love to talk to you. By the way, you didn't. You were gone by the time Christina Pink was in school here, right?
I'm not sure what age she is, but somehow we didn't cross paths.
Yeah.
I was at 07 to 11, so I don't know when she got there, but
I think she got
maybe
here a little later. Yeah.
Yeah, she might have been, but I just saw that she's being honored with the 40 Under 40 Alumni Award, and it could not be more well deserved. She's phenomenal and does a great job for Fox Sports.
Yeah, I think they're honoring me with the 70 Under 70 award, so which pretty much is the entire population of Gainesville. But
I think you're doing that thing. Somebody told me that you should always tell people you're 20 years older than you actually are, because then they say, "Oh wow, you look great for 70." You can't possibly be anywhere near that.
Well, I am. I'm getting closer every day. Now, with obviously with the work you do with the SEC network, with the is that going to keep going with the pregame show?
Yeah, SEC Nation still happening, and absolutely can't wait. We're gearing up for a lot of things coming up, and we've got obviously the SEC meetings in Destin. I'll be there, and then SEC Media Days, and then the season starts. So can't wait to do it again. That show is like, in a weird way, it's like my pride and joy, like my baby at ESPN. I hate to refer to it that way, but I love it so much. I feel like it's the one show that took a chance on me to give me a bigger opportunity at ESPN, which I'm really thankful for. And also, it's something that I'm so invested in because I've done it for all these years now, and just really look forward to it. So I can't wait to get back out. I can't wait for college football to be back, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't go well here last year, and I wonder for you. Now, we just talked about the draft, and I'm sure that the names of Florida players aren't going to come up very often because we just had pro day here a couple of weeks ago, and there were no head coaches, no general managers. There was nobody to see, and that goes back to the problems they had. Why the talent level dropped off here, but that's got to be tough for you to stomach when you and Tebow are on the set there and you're going, yeah, Florida, they're 6-6, yeah.
You guys know how competitive Tim is and how much he loves the Gators, and I'm the same way. For us, last year was tough, man. We, it was like every time, and we were in Gainesville for the Florida-Alabama game, week 3, and so many great signs even in that game, right? Like you just felt like Florida was competing at a high level and obviously had a chance to win that game. And then things fell off a cliff, not only after that, but to your point, Pat, and I think, you and I have talked about this program over these last few years. The recruiting just has not been at the level that it has to be to compete consistently in the SEC. And I realize you could point to the 2020 season, and that's true, but a lot of that had to do with Kyle Pitts and obviously Kyle Trask and what he did, and some key star players, Kadarius Toney at certain spots. So those guys ended up getting drafted really high for the obvious reasons, but there wasn't sustained success on this team because of the lack of depth from a recruiting standpoint. So as much as, I hate that we're sort of in a rebuilding mode once again, I do think that Billy Napier has done it right. I mean, he's essentially cleaned house, said, let's take a clean slate. Let's see what we can do and build this thing back up. And he seems to understand what he's up against, but we know this fan base, and I love this fan base because we expect excellence, and that's a tough task, right? That's something that I will be really interested to see how competitive they are in games. I'm not even saying the result of the game as much as it about Florida losing any more games at all, but I'm thinking more just how do they look, right? What does the offense look like? Is the defense better? I mean, all of these things that we've sort of seen these last few years really. And then, recruiting. Who can they get? I mean, you're in such a state in a talent-rich area. Got to get more of these guys down to Gainesville.
Well, and that's the thing. They're getting guys to visit that normally wouldn't visit. That's what Billy's doing. And, just talking to Katie Turner, she was at the quarterback club here, which you've spoken to as well, a couple of months ago, and the attention to detail was something I've never seen. And then basically she went, "Oh, I'm taking all this from Georgia and Alabama." I mean, it's not like I'm inventing the wheel, but they're doing it. So why aren't we not doing it here?
Exactly. And listen, like, it's not to sit there and say, well, oh man, we're Florida and we can't copy these other programs, do what they're doing. No. You absolutely can. I mean, use it, right? If you've got the information, you've got the tools, there's a reason why these teams are consistently in national championships and in the college football playoff. And that's where Florida should be. And I think it is one of the iconic programs in college football. It still is. And in college sports in general, I firmly believe that. But we're kind of hanging on by a thread. So we've got to, see some success, I think, come relatively soon. And I'm hoping that this team, this upcoming year, will show some flashes of brilliance that get us excited about the years to come.
Is it any harder for you guys all doing the SEC Nation show when you start out the season and you're trying to remember which guys transferred where? Because it's almost like you're dealing with this on two levels. The NFL, where everybody's moving, all the quarterbacks are moving, and then college football, where everybody's moving that isn't happy.
Yeah, Pat, I mean, my brain is basically scrambled eggs at all times. For lack of a better way to put it, but it is. It's one of those things where you almost wish that someone could create. Maybe I'm going to work on this, but someone needs to create a graphic that just shows all of the different teams, and then this guy went here, this guy went there, because it's hard to keep track of all of
it.
Like
a flow chart.
Yeah, exactly. On that, someone's probably already made it, but. I think we really are, and you were referring to this right before I came on. I think it's really true. You may not like it, but this is the world that we are living in. And it's funny because even as recently as last year's SEC Media Days, and that was when NIL was really first being discussed as a reality, right? Because it was coming into the fold, and we're having, Bo Nix come on and talk about his Milo's sweet tea deal and all of these things. And you're thinking, wow, this just feels weird because we've never done this in college football, but yet This is reality. I think a lot of coaches at that time even were hesitant to say anything. They all kept saying, well, we don't want to say the wrong thing because there's so much unknown here. There's still a lot of unknown, but the one certainty is this is our new reality. This is what it's going to be. The transfer portal, NIL, it's all here to stay and will only continue to grow. So as much as it feels foreign to those of us that, look fondly on the older days of college football, this is the new world that we're in. And yeah, it does. I mean, I'm gonna have to really sit there and bear down and try to figure out who's on what team before I do anything serious.
Yeah, absolutely. we'll see what happens. But what we have to do though, we do this with all of our guests on the Big Mills Zoom hotline. We play the Big Mills yes, no way, or maybe game. So you got to answer 3 questions: yes, no way, or maybe. It's brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks. And of course, if you go in there and say, "Hey, I'll listen to Another Dooley Noted Podcast," free French fries with your order. Hard to beat that. By the way, what do you miss the most about Gainesville?
Oh my goodness, so much. But you just mentioned French fries. I do miss the food a lot. And I was recently there for a women's sports stay in the game event. That's a great event that UF puts on. And it was like I was doing my own individual food tour, just going around to all my food spots. I love Ember's Wood Fire Grill. I used to go there all the time. Some great coffee shops in Gainesville. So I definitely miss that, although it's such a different place than it was back in 2011. I mean, it's like amazing how different it is. And then I think I really miss walking the campus. I used to walk everywhere. I would, I would drive some, but it would be a bit of a hike at times. But, I was a tour guide, so I was always walking the campus and going to the radio station and all that. And I really miss that about being at Florida.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll give you when it's ready in July, I think, they'll give you a tour of that new building over there that's supposed to be a game changer. We'll see if it is or not.
We need it to be, right?
Yes, exactly. All right, yes, no way, or maybe. Number 1, despite Devontae Adams leaving, Aaron Rodgers wins another MVP this year.
Maybe. That it's such a tough division of quarterbacks. So, and in the entire NFL, but especially in the NFC, which he'll be compared to. So maybe.
Okay, second, Florida has a 1,000-yard back in 2022. It's been a long time. I think Kelvin Taylor's the last one.
You know what? I'm going to say yes. Let's be optimistic here. Let's surprise me, Gators.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I'm looking forward to the spring games Thursday night, which is different, but I'm looking forward to it just to see what kind of offense they run. I mean, you can watch a coach at another school, and you say, well, that's what he runs. Well, he's got to adjust to what the talent is here.
Absolutely. And he said he could do that. I mean, Napier's smart about that. Like he said, obviously they're going to have to adjust to what this team can do. So, listen, why not? Especially think about who's on the roster from a quarterback standpoint. Might want to try to run as much as he can.
Yeah, maybe run the quarterback a little bit. All right, and finally, maybe they'll bring Dameon Pierce back somehow. They'll get him out of the draft and finally give him the ball like they should have done last year.
Oh, jeez.
Right. Finally, number 3, and remember, you're pretty much only talking to Gator fans here, okay? Georgia repeats as national champion.
Oh, I'm going to say no on that. I think
you got to do the emphasis. You got to go, no way.
No way. And I mean, it's because I don't know how they would beat Alabama this year. I realize Alabama always has to reload and everything, but you just think about who Alabama has at the quarterback spot and some other key positions. I think they're going to be really hungry, and I just, as we've seen with these Alabama teams that are out for revenge, very scary.
Yeah. I love angry Nick Saban. It's my favorite character in all sports.
All Saban, man, it's so good.
He's the best. All right, Laura, you're the best. You know that, and we love you, and we love seeing you all on all the different platforms, including magazine covers and everything else. But say hello to Baby Reese. Say hello to your husband for me, and tell him not to get too cold, but it'll warm up eventually.
It's 50 degrees here today. I can't believe I live here sometimes. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it, Pat.
We will see you, Laura. Thanks a lot. Laura Rutledge, the great Laura Rutledge, as good as they get. She's been so good to this show and to other shows that I've done, and I appreciate it. Right now, we do have to take a break. And when we come back, we will go to all of our fun stuff. We'll start off with Leonardo's quick picks because we had several people qualify. We gave you a lot of options. We got a new one for this week. Hesser and Kipke games of the weekend. 3 things presented by Hand Law. This, that, and the other. We got a lot of stuff to cover here on I almost said the tailgate, here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast, presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Another Duly Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
All right, welcome back. God, my hair is a mess today, isn't it? Well, it's so windy out there. It just blew all over the place. But that'll be interesting for baseball tonight because I think it's blowing to right field. So could be some long balls, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this baseball program. I mean, they get off to that good start last year, and nothing has gone right since then. And like even last night's game, look, Arkansas is really good. Florida's really not very good right now. And when you get things going in the bad direction, a lot of times it's really hard to turn it around. But, even in that game, there was that play where the player ran into the third baseman. I don't know. I don't even know what the rule is for sure on that one in the base paths, and probably should have been out. There was a couple of pitches, that Barco got really upset about. But in the end, you got 3 hits. It didn't matter. If you get 3 hits, it doesn't matter. All right, it is time to go for us to do our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. Want to send out good thoughts to Kyle Cohen from Leonardo. He's having knee surgery, and his knee's been bothering him for a while, and they finally figured out what it was. I don't think he'll be able to play in the tournament, but he will be at the tournament, and he'll have a team in the tournament, and he'll have pizzas at the tournament, which is what really matters, from Leonardo's at Millhopper. We did get several qualifiers from we gave you 2 chances to win or to qualify. Scott Hart, El Sailor, Matt Fail, and Bob Julian. Bob Julian's won before. All got in the qualifying, and we'll continue that going for another couple of weeks, and then we'll pick another winner for our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick pick. Now, what I was doing with the quick pick, I was going to say, okay, give me the over-under, either go over or under on the winner of the Masters, and the number I wrote down was 12 under. And then I saw the way the wind was blowing. I looked at the scores, and they aren't good. No, I mean, I think, who was it? Schwartzel, not Horschel, but Schwartzel shot 3 under, got out, was one of the first people off, shot a 3 under today. That may be the low score of the day, as hard as it's blowing up there. And that all that does is dry the greens out, makes them even faster. So I changed it, and I went to 8 under. 8 under is now the over-under from, and I'm setting it. This is not a Vegas line. I'm setting it because it's supposed to be tough weather in terms of cold and wind all weekend. So that's all you got to do is you got to type in the word over or the word under, or you could type in push, and if it's 8 under, you win. You'll be the only qualifier if you did that, and just send it to my email address patrickdooley54@gmail.com, and make sure it's clean because I learned how to block people this week, and first time I ever blocked anybody in my life in anything. But I did that yesterday, and I feel good about it. Sometimes you just don't want to be brought down, you know? You don't want to be sad because of the way people treat or look at you. Anyway, most people like me, I think. Evan likes me. It felt like Laura liked me, right? Anyway, I don't want to even get into that whole thing. All right, so that is our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks for today. It is time to look at the Hesser and Kipke games of the week, and of course the games of the weekend, I should say. They're always brought to you by Hesser and Kipke on Fridays. Hesser and Kipke is a law firm based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer, or Ken or Jennifer, I guess you could say, because probably both of them won't answer the phone if you call them. So call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. Starting Monday, we're going to do a Major League Baseball thing with Hesser and Kipke. So by then, hopefully the Braves are not eliminated from the playoff race. Man, they stunk it up last night. 6-3 loss, and on the day they celebrated the World Series championship. Sometimes at their heart. And also, here's the thing. It's one game out of 162. I'm okay. I'm not worried about an opening game. I did watch it. It was really hard to go back and forth because I had the Masters on one TV. Well, I guess by then the Masters was over. I had Django Unchained on one TV, actually. And but I did go back and forth between the baseball games, and neither one of them were very good for me. Maybe they were for Reds fans and Arkansas fans, and they both were the color red. So there you go. All right, so here's what we got this weekend. A lot of stuff going on, but we'll start with baseball. Baseball at 6:30 tonight, and then, of course, at 1 o'clock on Saturday, and that is the second straight 3-game series they played on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we'll see what happens there. You got to get one of these last two. You can't lose them both, or you're going to be 3-9, and boy, 3-9 is going to get ugly. There's no question about it. Softball. And I wrote something about this for Gators Wire, about both teams kind of at a crossroads in baseball and softball. Now, the softball's obviously had a better season than baseball, and that loss to FSU, they got to shake that off. I mean, that was an excellent game. I was there and went to 10 innings, and, obviously the home run changed it. But Florida had chances to walk it off before. They're still a good softball team. It's not like they're terrible. I don't know that they're elite, but they are ranked 5th in the country, I believe. So maybe my expectations are a little higher. But they've got a huge series. Starts Saturday, 5 p.m. against Alabama. Alabama is 1 game ahead of them in the SEC standings, and I think 1 spot ahead of them in the rankings. 5 p.m. Saturday, 4 p.m. Sunday, and then a 7 o'clock Monday night game, which we don't see those a lot, but that'll be a lot of fun for the fans that want to go out there. So we got that going on. The Masters, I wanted to give you the times on that because I know a lot of you are just going to sit down and watch the Masters all weekend. Starts at 3 today, goes to 7:30. On Saturday, 3 to 7 or until its conclusion. And then on Sunday, you get 2 to 7. And Sunday will be a glorious day to watch the Masters. It's always fun to watch. Also, there are spring games galore on TV. Now, many of them are on like ESPN Plus, and that's one reason, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but one reason Florida decided to have their game on a Thursday. Kentucky plays at 1 o'clock. This is all on Saturday. Auburn at 2, Texas A&M at 2. FSU is at 5, and they're on the SEC network. And I think I have that right because, unfortunately, the thing I was looking at was Mountain Times, and I had to do the math. So, but those are some of the spring games of note, but there's spring games all over the place, so that'll be interesting to watch. All right, that is our Hesser and Kipke games of the weekend. There are plenty of them. I know tennis, I think, is out of town this week. Gymnastics is until next week, and we'll talk about them a lot next week as well. So thanks so much to Hesser and Kipke, double sponsors here of Another Dooley Noted Podcast. It is time right now for Three Things. Three Things, as you know, is presented by Hand Law and the great Chris Hand. It's a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville, and we appreciate Hand Law again for being a double sponsor. And I think Monday, Robbie will be doing Yes, Nowhere, maybe, so they'll be sponsoring that as well. And, all right, number one, 11 Gators on opening day rosters, which is a lot, you know. I mean, for Major League Baseball, Florida's done a great job of getting guys and not only recruiting well, but developing them and then sending them on to the pros. Now, obviously, what's going on right now is not good. It's not – this team is just not – and they didn't have it at the end of last year. That was certainly a problem. But he's developed a lot of good players and recruited a lot of good players. And guys like – these aren't like scrubs that are on the end of the bench. This is, you know, Zanino and Singer and obviously the Rookie of the Year and Jonathan India, Pete Alonso. These are good players that they brought in there. 11 guys on opening day rosters. Number two, Seth Beer. You don't know Seth Beer, I'm sure. But he had a walk-off homer last night, and he did it on National Beer Day. And for the life of me, I forgot to write down who he played for because I think was it the Royals maybe? I don't know. Anyway, for Seth Beer to hit a walk-off homer on National Beer Day, it's pretty cool. And finally, number three, I was looking at this today because they had a story, I think, in AL.com about what the coaches there were getting. They'd approved all the contracts. They have to go through a different approval thing than Florida does. Florida, I think, just goes through the UAA and their board and everything like that. But anyway, there's other people that get involved in some of these schools. Like at LSU, they have to go through a different process than they do anywhere else. But I was just curious. And I saw Robert Gillespie's making $565,000 a year. Now, Robert Gillespie, I'm so happy for him. One of the nicest, best guys I've ever known, ever covered at Florida. And I always would, God, why can't Florida get him? Well, maybe that's why. If he's making $565,000, now there are a lot of coaches making more than that. And, you know, Robert is doing a heck of a job, but they got a lot of guys making the $800,000 range, just assistant coaches, not even coordinators. And then, look, this is what Florida's having to do and trying to do. You can't just say, hey, we want the best coaching staff in America. Come on down. You need to come down here and leave your school because we think we've targeted you as one of the best coaches. What am I going to make? About the same as you were before. No, you can't do that. Like people like Katie Turner and people that Florida's gotten away, Corey Raymond. They didn't get them by giving them less money or, you know, same money. You have to pay to get them. I mean, Billy Napier's making more than any Florida coach has ever made. And Florida has won 0 games. 0 at Florida. I hope he wins a lot. I really becoming a bigger fan every moment with him. So appreciate him. All right, that is our 3 things presented by Hand Law, and we appreciate Chris Hand. Let us go to the Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week, and not a lot to choose from here. I will tell you that. A lot of things did not go as well as Florida would hope. And I ended up going with Elizabeth Hightower. And the reason I did, and I know she pitched in a game that Florida lost in softball. She was going up against the number 2 team in the country in FSU. And again, Florida has beaten FSU in every sport except one. They lost in soccer where they were, 4-12 and 2-4 or whatever they were. And they got killed by them there. But every other sport, they beat them. So, you kind of go there, even though FSU's ranked number 2. And it was a heck of a game. And she pitched her brains out. I mean, she pitched so well. And obviously, after 7 innings, they just felt like, we got a big series coming up. We got to switch to Natalie Lugo. Didn't work out. And a lot of times you want to do that because you want to give them a little different look. Maybe they're starting to time things up. So, at any rate, Elizabeth Hightower really has turned into a really good pitcher for Florida this year. She won the last game, would have won this game if they just got a walk-off. They didn't get it. But I decided to go with Elizabeth Hightower as the Gator of the week, presented by Adam's Ribco to Go. We love Adam. Went by and saw him this week, actually. Another sponsor of the Bob Dooley Invitational. Finally, it is time for This, That, and the Other, our favorite Friday thing. It is presented, as you know, by Ballyhoo Grill, our good friend Bill Reichert. Rick Reichert's our friend, too. Bill Reichert over there at Ballyhoo Grill is presented by Darshakow Insurance, and it is presented by Ironwood Golf Course. Excuse me. Got the hiccups. All right, This, That, and the Other. When they announced that the spring game was going to be on a Thursday night, my first reaction was, are you out of your mind? Why would you play on a Thursday night? Thursday night, people have to work. Okay, you're going to play at 7:30, but now you've cut into their tailgate time. A lot of that just seems silly. What are you thinking? Well, that is that it was kind of explained to me by a couple people. One of them was a caller on a radio show, and I didn't realize that Friday of next week is Good Friday, and you didn't want to play on Saturday, which was the thing. They felt like there's 100 games on Saturday. Let's play on a different day, and they would have played it on Friday, but it's Good Friday. I think I'm right up in this. I hope the guy who called in was right because I'm repeating what he said, and so playing it on Thursday, you're the only game. I don't think it's recruits that are watching it, but you're going to get recruits in there. What kind of crowd they get, we'll see. It'll be interesting. The other is, not only am I ready for it, but when they announced the format, I'm like, yeah, that's more like it. That's not some of the silliness we've seen over the last multiple years, and sometimes forced. And I don't know how they're going to do it with the tight end injuries they have. I think they have one healthy tight end, but they're going to play 4 quarters. It's going to be kind of cool, running clock, except for the last, 4 minutes of the game. It's a little late for some people, but you're still probably going to get out of there by 9 o'clock, 9:30 at the latest. And they're going to do a lot of things. I'm really curious to see the kinds of things that they do to kind of get fan engagement going. Hopefully, one thing they'll do is play better music. But I know they play the music the players want, not the music the fans want. Not the music the old man in the press box want. In my day, we played the Beatles. And it was live, and we liked it. No. Anyway, all right, so that is This, That, and the Other, brought to you by Ballyhoo, brought to you by Darshakow Insurance, and brought to you by Ironwood Golf Course. So I think we covered everything. We get it all done? Thanks again to Laura for coming on, Laura Rutledge. She was great. On Monday, Coach Spurrier will join us again. I'm working on a really cool guest for Friday. May not work out. If it doesn't, we'll get somebody else. It will be just as cool. It'll just be somebody different than what I'm trying to get. And we'll find out what happens. All right. That's going to do it for the show. Thanks to Evan for being the rock of this show, as he always is. Thanks to Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill for hosting us here in the podcast room. Thanks to my buddy Randy Rager. I just saw out in the street that it was actually in town. It was good to see him again. At first, I didn't recognize him. He had a big beard and everything. And thanks to everybody. I'm going to go watch some baseball today, but I'm definitely going to watch some golf too. Until next time, until Monday, I am Pat Dooley saying I'm deep way back, and I am out of here.